Most people don't ruin their lives in a single dramatic decision. There's rarely a thunderclap moment, a fork in the road where one path leads to salvation and the other to disaster. The architecture of failure is usually far more subtle, built not with grand mistakes, but with small, seemingly sensible compromises. They do it slowly, almost imperceptibly. It happens in the quiet accumulation of choices that feel right at the time, choices that are logical, defensible, and even encouraged. One reasonable choice at a time. A decision to prioritize stability over a flicker of passion. A choice to accept a comfortable salary instead of pursuing a riskier, more meaningful venture. Each one, a single, well-laid brick in a wall that eventually closes you in. Ethan Miller believed he was making the safest decision of his life. It wasn't a leap of faith. It was a calculated step onto solid ground. He had weighed the pros and cons, run the numbers, and consulted those he trusted. Everyone agreed with him, his manager, his colleagues, even his family. The consensus was a warm blanket, shielding him from the chill of doubt. Years later, he would realize that was exactly the problem. The unanimous approval wasn't a sign of its correctness, but a symptom of its profound lack of ambition. Nothing went wrong that day. No alarm sounded, no immediate consequences surfaced. The world continued to turn, and his career path seemed more secure than ever. And that was the danger. The absence of friction, the smoothness of the path, was a sedative. It lulled him into a state of passive acceptance, where the days bled into weeks and the weeks into years. Ethan was 37, living in Denver, a city framed by mountains he rarely visited, working in tech for nearly a decade, a field that promised innovation but often delivered iteration. From the outside, his life looked stable. It was a carefully curated image of success, assembled from all the right pieces. Predictable. His calendar was a testament to routine. Weekly syncs, quarterly reviews, annual performance goals. Comfortable. He had a good salary, excellent benefits, and a 401k that grew with quiet diligence. Safe. He was insulated from the volatility that plagued so many others. He was a valued employee at a stable company. Every morning, the elevator opened to the same quiet office floor, a space that had become as familiar as his own reflection, the one he had seen for years. The geography of his professional life was fixed, unchanging. Nothing was falling apart. There were no fires to put out, no crises to manage. His life was a well-oiled machine, humming along without a single discordant note. Nothing felt urgent. The greatest ambition of most days was to reach inbox zero. The greatest challenge was navigating the gentle currents of office politics, which made the decision easy. It wasn't a choice between good and bad, but between safe and uncertain. And in a world that felt increasingly unstable, safety seemed like the only rational currency. The offer didn't promise success. It promised relief. Less pressure, less uncertainty, fewer things to worry about. The moment Ethan felt that relief, the decision stopped feeling like a choice. Something inside him hesitated. A small resistance. Difficult to explain. So easy to ignore. He mentioned the offer to Sarah first, his team lead.
This is the safe move. The kind people don't regret.
Jason from finance agreed immediately.
No downside, that's smart.
That night, Ethan called his brother Daniel. Daniel sounded relieved.
At least you won't have to worry anymore.
Every conversation ended the same way. Agreement, reassurance, approval. No one asked Ethan what he truly wanted. The conversations were never framed that way. They were always about the collective, the greater good of the company, the preservation of a system that had proven its worth. They talked about security, framing it as a shield against the unpredictable winds of the market. They spoke of stability, a word that sounded like a promise, a steady anchor in a world of constant flux. The unspoken message was clear. Innovation was a risk, and individual ambition was a variable that needed to be managed. The focus was always on protecting what already worked, on optimizing the existing machinery rather than designing something new. His own aspirations, the quiet hum of a different kind of future he sometimes imagined, didn't fit into that equation. They were an anomaly, a deviation from the mean. So, late at night, in the privacy of his own apartment, Ethan would perform a quiet ritual of rebellion. He opened job listings he never applied to, roles in smaller, more agile companies, positions that promised creativity over conformity. He sketched out ideas he never explored, filling the pages of a notebook with wireframes for apps that solved problems no one at his current job was trying to solve. These were the ghosts of other lives he could be living. Those paths didn't look impossible. From the quiet glow of his monitor, they looked invigorating, challenging. But they also looked unsupported, lonely. He saw no one from his current world walking alongside him down those roads. For a moment, standing by his window and looking out at the sprawling, indifferent city, he imagined choosing differently. He pictured the difficult conversations, the leap into the unknown, the sheer effort of building something from scratch. The thought made him uneasy. A cold knot of anxiety tightened in his stomach. The risk felt too personal, the potential for failure too public. In the face of that fear, the alternative felt like a warm embrace. Relief felt safer. Predictability was a comfort. The decision happened on a Wednesday afternoon, not in a sterile boardroom, but in a quiet corner of the office designed to feel informal, approachable. A small table, a calm conversation. Sarah from HR, with her gentle voice and reassuring smile, walked him through the package. The benefits were explained one more time. The retirement plan, the health coverage, the bonus structure. Each point was a brick in a wall of security being built around him. As she finished, Ethan paused. He was expected to respond, to show gratitude, to accept. But in the silence, a strange feeling surfaced. Something felt unfinished. It was like closing a door, hearing the soft click of the latch, but having a sudden, nagging certainty that you left something important behind. A feeling of forgetting, without knowing what was forgotten. He noticed the feeling. He acknowledged its presence, a faint alarm bell ringing in a distant room of his mind. It was the voice of the person who scrolled through job listings late at night. Then, just as quickly, he dismissed it. He pushed it down, burying it under the weight of practicality and reason. He smiled at Sarah, a polite, practiced expression that didn't quite reach his eyes. He said yes. The word was quiet, but it felt final. The door clicked shut. Nothing changed right away. The decision settled silently, and the office hummed with the same familiar frequency. Life continued with an almost frictionless ease. Weeks passed. The new, smaller role felt easier, cleaner, but the scope of his world had contracted. Projects, the lifeblood of his career, stopped reaching him. Not suddenly, but gradually, like a tide receding so slowly you don't notice the shoreline has moved. One morning, he opened his calendar. A weekly strategy meeting, a fixture for years, was still there. He clicked on the entry, and then he saw it. The list of attendees scrolled down the side of the invitation. His name was no longer there. No notification, no explanation. Just a quiet digital excision. The meeting and the work it represented continued without him. Months passed quietly. The initial ease curdled into a slow, creeping idleness. He became a ghost in the machine he had helped to build. One afternoon, a younger coworker stopped by his desk.
You used to lead bigger projects, right? I saw your name on some of the old design docs.
Ethan nodded. The question wasn't an accusation, but it landed with the weight of a final judgment. He couldn't explain the 1,000 tiny concessions, the quiet drift into irrelevance. In the silence that followed, he realized the truth. The change hadn't been a single event. It was a slow erosion. The price of the safe choice. That night, alone in his apartment, he tried to imagine another version of his future. A different path. He couldn't see it. Not because it was impossible, because he had slowly, imperceptibly, agreed to stop becoming it. That was the realization. The decision everyone approved had worked perfectly. It removed uncertainty. It removed risk. And quietly, it removed every other possible life. Most people don't destroy their lives suddenly. They agree to smaller and smaller versions of them. By the time they notice, the agreement is already complete. One decision. No easy way back.